Buddhadhamma, chapter 5, page 479. Redeeming kamma. Āpatti-paṭikamma in Pali is an important term in the teachings to kamma. Āpatti-kamma, P-A-T-I-K-A-M-M-A. Based on its original meaning, or as a play on its original meaning, it may be translated as to redeem kamma. In this sense, it refers to the restoration, rectification, rehabilitation, amendment, or the abandoning of bad kamma and doing good kamma instead. Āpatti-kamma was originally a common everyday term used in the sense of repairing something damaged, correcting something defective, righting something wrong, or even a relation to curing an illness. In the context of Satana Dharma, the teachings, the term āpatti-kamma refers essentially to an acknowledgement of one's own past mistakes, a relinquishment of unwholesome and harmful actions, a turning away from bad actions, and a resultant performance of good action, self-improvement, do good deeds, and rectifying one's faults in order to arrive at integrity and completeness. In relation to the monastic community, Gautama Buddha applied the principle of āpatti-kamma by laying down two kinds of disciplinary prescriptions: expiations of offences, āpatti-paṭikamma, and a formal invitation or admonishment, pavāraṇā-kamma. So there's two kinds, āpatti-paṭikamma and pavāraṇā-kamma. Moreover, in a wider context encompassing both renunciants and laypeople, Gautama Buddha emphasized performing redress accompanied by an awareness and confession of one's wrongdoing, referred to as confession of one's transgressions, accaya-desanā, which is considered a practice corresponding to the code of the noble ones, ariya-vinaya. In the Dhamma Vinaya, there are thus three basic procedures for rectifying one's faults within a social context. The first one is expiation of offenses, āpatti-paṭikamma. Atonement, repentance. If this is a disciplinary prescription for a monastic community. If a bhikkhu or a bhikkhuni has committed an offense, he or she is aware of this transgression and discloses it to others. He or she openly renounces such misdeeds and determines not to repeat them. One informs others of this determination in order to be restrained in the future. The standard is applied even when someone has doubts. For example, on the uposatha days, the observance days of the full and the new moon days, if a bhikkhu suspects that he may have incurred an offense, he informs another bhikkhu in this way: "Venerable sir, I have doubts in regard to the offense of such and such." When these doubts vanish, the offense will have been atoned for. And secondly, formal invitation of admonishment, pavāraṇā-kamma. This too is a disciplinary prescription for a monastic community, abbreviated to the term pavāraṇā. It constitutes an annual ceremony, a formal act of the kamma, performed at the end of the rainy season retreat, Vasa, or Buddhist Lent, after having lived together for the Vasa. The resident bhikkhus or bhikkhunis convene, and each individual makes a formal invitation to the gathering, beginning with the most senior member of the community. Each individual states, "Venerable friends, I make a formal invitation to the Sangha. If you have seen, heard, or suspected that I have made any mistakes or acted in any harmful ways, may you admonish me out of compassion. Having recognized these mistakes, I will rectify them." And thirdly, confession of one transgression, accaya-desanā. This is a principle of conduct integral to the noble disciple, applicable to both members of the monastic community and to a lay people. The gist of this principle is that when one commits an offense, makes a mistake, or behaves badly in relation to someone else, one makes amends by asking for forgiveness, expressing one's remorse for others for transgressions and offenses, requesting others to acknowledge the recognition of one's mistake in order for one to make amends and show restraint in the future is growth in the noble discipline. There are many stories in the Tipitaka of the Pali Canon of lay people, even of monks who act offensively towards Gautama Buddha, the awakening one. When they recognize their mistakes, they confess and ask for forgiveness from him. Gautama Buddha would answer by saying that he accepts their apology if they recognize the harm in their transgressions committed by way of delusion or stupidity. And if they make amends, he would reiterate how acknowledging one's mistakes, making amends, and being careful in the future is growth towards the noble discipline. Take, for example, the act of the archer who has hired to assassinate Gautama Buddha. He went to express his remorse to Gautama Buddha, who stated, "Because you see the harm in that which is harmful and make genuine amends, I accept and acknowledge your mistake. For anyone who discerns the harm in the harmful and to make righteous amends by afterwards showing caution is growth in the noble discipline." There's two significant verses that should be cited here. The first one deals with the second kind of transgression, pavāraṇā-kamma. And the second one deals with the confessions of accaya-desanā, and it's in Pali. Saṅgham avuso, or if you're talking to, if you're a senior one, you say bante, either or. Pavāraṇā-kamma wa sutena wa parisaṅkhaya wa tantu mam ayasmanto anukampang upataya pasanto patikarasami. That is the acknowledgement to the Sangha during the end of rain seasons, Vasa, or Buddhist Lent. That is in Pali. The third one of the confessions is for the accaya-desanā. It's yato chako twawam avuso, or bante, achayanto desva yata dhammam patikarosi dante mayam patikanhama uti esa avuso, or bante, ariya-vinayeyo achayato deva yata dhammam patikaroti ayantim samaritam apajati. Basically, the third one is translated, stated, because you see the harm in that which is harmful and make genuine amends, I accept and acknowledge your mistake. For anyone to discern the harm in the harmful and to make righteous amends by afterwards showing caution is growth in the noble discipline. This principle of rectification in the āpatti-paṭikamma is a way of applying the law of kamma for spiritual development. One develops one's intentional conduct, cetana in Pali, at least to the extent of making amends for past misdeeds, so that in the future one's actions are improved and bad actions are replaced by good actions. One does not sit by idly due to the fear of generating kamma, as is espoused by the doctrine of Nigantha. And very importantly, after making mistakes, one does not fret, bemoan, get depressed, or get caught up in the past, which only compounds unwholesome tendency, leads to missed opportunities, and increases suffering, stress, dukkha. Having made mistakes, one recognizes them for what they are. One does not get caught up in immobilized by the emotion of distress or remorse. Rather, one seeks knowledge and relies on wisdom, paññā. Having recognized one's faults, one determines to rectify them to make amends. This accords with the principle praised by Gautama Buddha. It also accords with the principle of āpatti-paṭikamma, that's translated into heedfulness. Rectification, paṭikamma, supports āpatti-paṭikamma. So paṭikamma supports heedfulness, which is key spiritual factor leading to the spiritual growth and perfection. The following is a verse by Gautama Buddha in the Dhammapada, completed this subject of redemption and rectification. The same verses were uttered by Venerable Angulimala while enjoying the bliss of liberation after he was reborn as a noble disciple by realizing the fruit of arihatship. The quote goes, "Whoever was heedless before and afterwards is not. Such a one illumines this world like the moon freed from clouds. Whoever cancels out evil deeds by way of wholesome deeds, such a one illumines this world like the moon freed from clouds." This is from the Dhammapada, verse 172, 173.